G'day. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have a close-up look at the Kraken exhaust manifold for the Mazda MX-5 Miata. No fancy intros here, let's get straight into it. G'day folks, my name is Brendan. Welcome to BEAVIS Motorsport. So this is a Kraken Turbo manifold for the Mazda MX-5 Miata. It's a 1.8 size with a outlet for the T25, T28 Garrett Turbo. It also comes with a stainless downpipe here. I thought we'd have a quick look at some of the finer details of the unit, fit and finish, quality, surfaces, some of the castings and things, and have a look at how well this thing's built. It's definitely got some weight to it. They do say minimum 7mm wall thickness, which is quite beefy and should definitely be resistant to damage, cracking and that sort of thing. Obviously exhaust manifolds and downpipes and turbo manifolds in particular put up with a lot of heat, especially when you're seeing things like the track. I've got an exhaust here which is a fairly nice for a 1.6 MX-5 Japanese made unit, and it's got cracking and things here which has been repaired in the past, but you try and repair it and it just cracks more. These things, exhausts are put up with a lot of heat, and so a turbo manifold really needs to be well built. First thing right off the bat with these, I noticed the machining work is really impressive. Both sides look very nice and smooth. The flange on the turbo side is really quite large, and obviously the actual flange of the actual turbo, I've got one sitting with me here, is much smaller. It doesn't really matter, it just means you've got a lot of extra beef here. That can have some issues with clearance and things. If your turbo's clocked in a certain direction, you may end up binding or hitting on this, so you just need to, effectively, you're going to have to clock the turbo to make it fit around this larger flange. The actual port and bolt holes are obviously the same standard as what comes on a turbo. I was very impressed with the ports on the head side. These are all really consistent, really smooth, and they very closely match the OEM size, the gasket, and the head of the car. The holes have all been drilled out really neatly, and the cuts through the port or the holes are all, I'm assuming, for sort of heat expansion and some relief, so that as the manifold heats up there is a little bit of wiggle room there. On the turbo side, I was a little disappointed. This hole does seem to be a little bit janky. It's not perfectly centered, and it's a little bit not perfectly square either, but perhaps it's minuscule, and I don't think it'll matter in the long term. In terms of porting out through the holes, it is a cast finish. You've got a cast surface all the way through there. There's no easy way to change that. You'd have to try and sit there with a die grinder and grind it out. That's just not really worth the effort. The porting and the sort of the mergers and things inside all seem to be quite smooth. Obviously, it's a cast unit. You're going to have cast joins and things in there. It's just the way it is. Exterior finish wise is all fairly smooth. There have been a few revisions of these over the years, and he also makes them for the 1.6s and for the TD04 type turbos, TD03 turbos I think. This is obviously a T28. Some of those have got the Kraken logo written on them, this one doesn't. Doesn't really matter. And also things like flashing for castings and stuff, some of the others have got those. This doesn't seem to have that either, which doesn't really matter, does it? Other than that, it's very weighty. It's got some good beef to it. That does mean you're adding weight to the car, but on the other hand, it also means that it's likely to be a bit more sturdy, a bit more resilient, and able to handle the heat. That's more or less the manifold itself. Let's have a quick look at the downpipe that's included in their kits. They offer a few different sizes of tube work, and it depends on your car and also the model of your vehicle, because NAs and NBs and things all have slightly different exhaust configurations. They all come with the V-band connector for the dump, which I haven't got with me. Where is that? One moment. So they offer a cast dump outlet from the turbo with a V-band that has been cast and then machined into it, which is quite a clever and nice piece of kit. It's got sort of a Kraken-ish logo on the side, fairly nice face on the front. It's all again been machined reasonably well. That obviously bolts to your turbo. Your downpipe comes out down to meet with the exhaust. That V-band meets up with that guy quite nicely. It's all included in the kit. There's a V-bend clamp to go around that. This tube work is reasonably well done. Looks quite neat. There is a flex joint and an O2 bung there. The only things that I was a little questionable were, it doesn't look like it's been back purged. I can see some sort of glassing or whatever you would call it with some of the welds. They're not hugely penetrative from what I can see. Does that matter? Perhaps not. This is perhaps far enough down the exhaust system that it's unlikely or less likely to crack. There is a risk that with a back purged stainless system, you've got less penetration, you've got poorer welds. I think they're not back purged. You'd have to probably check with Kraken himself. It doesn't look like it from my eyes, but I'm not a pro welder, so don't necessarily trust me. That said, they do look reasonably nice from the outside. It doesn't look like he's used filler for any of the sort of pipework joins. That's just fusion welded or whatever you would call it. It does look like there's filler around things like the V-band and the flex joint and the O2 bung. That said, it's pretty neat work. The tube work seems quite neat and nice. I don't know how it fits on the car. I'm not going to run this on my car. I'm going to run a 3-inch system. This is 2.5-inch. But nonetheless, fairly neat kit. Now I would like to mention, if you want to find Kraken, seems like the best place to get to them is via Facebook. They respond to messages a little bit haphazardly, not super reliable or super efficient, but nonetheless they do usually get the job done. If you do want to place an order, be very clear and explicit on what you need, the size of the piping, the model of your car, etc., etc., because there's a few options out there and you need to be very clear on what you want. And I know affiliate here, I bought this unit myself with my own money, so don't think that this is a review or that they've paid me for this or anything. Anyway folks, I hope that helps you out with your turbo manifold quest for your MX-5 Miata. Thank you very much for watching. As always, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram and all of that stuff, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.